Welcome to the second training in the initial CDCS user training series. This training will focus on allocations for disability waivers that offer CDCS as a service. If you are accessing alternative care or the elderly waiver, there is a separate video for your use. Please remember to stop, pause, or rewind this video to enhance your understanding of the concepts as needed. The following slides will discuss how CAC, CADI, and BI allocations are determined and how DD budgets are determined differently. For people who are on the DD waiver, the CDCS budget is determined by your Min Choice assessment. The budget is based on a person's age, diagnosis, ability level, and behavioral support needs. The Min Choice assessment answers will populate a DD screening document. The scores from the screening document are placed in a DHS algorithm which creates your annual budget. It is important to report supports needed accurately. If the person receiving services does not like that you are talking about areas they need assistance in, ask your assessor to have a follow-up conversation regarding the sensitive needs. The CAC, CADI, BI waivers are all called long-term care or LTC waivers. These waivers have an LTC screening that is populated from the Min Choice assessment results. The algorithm for the LTC waivers is a bit different from the DD waivers due to the different screening types. The same applies for LTC folks. All information relayed to the assessor should be accurate in order to have an allocation result reflective of their actual needs. Disability waivers have an annual allocation that can be flexibly used throughout the year. For example, if CDCS is supporting a child, there may be more staffing dollars used in the summer months since there is no school in session. It is important to ensure that there are services throughout the span year. You are not allowed to spend all of the money in the first few months of the plan, leaving many months without paid supports. If MA is not active, meaning it's closed or the person is out of the country, you are not able to utilize waivered services. Please contact your case manager right away. If you are in the hospital overnight, you are not able to bill for services if you are what is considered out of the community or in the hospital, jail, or treatment centers. If at the end of the span year, you have unspent dollars, you are not able to roll those dollars into the next span year. If you do not use all of the dollars, you do not lose the money on the next span year. Once you have reached the spending of your allocation, there are no more funds. You are not able to get an increase based on overuse. All changes in your CDCS plan need to be made within 30 days of the plan ending to ensure the case manager has time to make the changes. The only changes that can be made in the plan in the last 30 days are due to health and safety needs that are unexpected. Disability waivers have a few categories that qualify for a 30% budget exception. Participants can access the exception through employment support needs, behavior support needs, or own home living needs. There are also exceptions for people moving out of an institutional setting or a more restricted waiver setting. There is specific criteria that needs to be met, and your case manager has to complete an application for the exception to DHS. The basic criteria for a budget exception is that the person's employment, behavior, or own home living needs cannot be met with the current allocation amount. The CDCS CSP needs to reflect all the needs of the person and how they will be supported within the budget. If they show this and that there is not enough money for employment, behavior needs, or own home living to to be supported so they will have to stop using CDCS, they can seek a 30% exception to the current allocation. This 30% can only be accessed once per span year, meaning you are not able to get an additional 30% budget increase for each category you need assistance in. It is also not a guaranteed increase every year, and you do need to show the ability to not be able to use the base budget to meet the person's needs. If a person is interested in increasing the amount of time they work to improve their employment opportunities, they may be eligible to receive a 30% increase. The person has to have exhausted opportunities funded through Vocational Rehab Services, or VRS, prior to accessing this exception, and their current base budget cannot accommodate employment supports, which would force them to utilize traditional waiver services. Annually, they are required to show that without the exception, the person's employment needs cannot be met with the CDCS base budget. If a person's needs cannot be met with the base budget due to behavioral needs, a 30% increase can be requested. The initial request must have a plan to create a positive behavior support plan and how the plan will be followed. Subsequent plans are required to have how the behavior support plan is being followed and what supports are being used to follow that positive behavior support plan. If a person is planning to move into their own home, which is defined as not provider controlled, they may be eligible for a 30% increase to the base budget if their base budget does not allow their assessed needs to be met. The usage of this exception needs to show how the extra exception dollars allow for the continued independence of the person living in a non-provider controlled setting. Enhanced rates are different than budget exceptions. A person on a disability waiver can access both an enhanced rate and a budget exception if they meet the criteria for the supports needed. An enhanced rate is not only provided based on a person's needs, but also if the staff person meets the criteria provided by DHS. If the participant qualifies for more than 10 hours a day of personal care assistance, or PCA, they are eligible to have the enhanced rate applied to their budget. Employees must then complete the complex PCA training through a person's FMS and can access the enhanced rate pay. The case manager completes the enhanced rate request form, but the employee is required to complete the training before being able to access the pay scale related to the enhanced rate. Please talk to your case manager about applying the enhanced rate if the person served qualifies for more than 10 hours a day of personal care assistance. They will guide you through the process and assist you in obtaining this 7.5% enhanced rate. We will review how the initial plan's budget is determined and how to prorate it in the plan. When you request to start using CDCS, you will receive what is called an estimated budget. This budget uses your last DD or LT screening, depending on your waiver type. Hennepin County uses a formula similar to the one DHS uses and puts your screening scores into it. It calculates an estimated budget. Because counties do not have access to the DHS formulas, this is just an estimate. Once you write your plan and all services are in place, you will receive the final DHS budget from your case manager. Your budget may be lower or higher than the estimated budget, and you can then adjust your CDCS CSP accordingly to accommodate the final budget. When you are opening CDCS and this is your first year of waivered services, you will have what is called a shortened span year. This means that your waiver span will be 11 months or less, depending on when you are able to officially open CDCS. If you have a current waiver with traditional services and you are converting over to CDCS services, your CDCS services will end the same as your traditional services would. By implementing a shorter span year for the first waiver span, it allows the assurance that the initial min-choice assessment remains valid while the first renewal is taking place. If your first min-choice assessment is held in July, your ongoing annual reassessments will take place in May or June to ensure renewals are timely. This isn't a sample timeline of an original plan. Once the original assessment is completed, there are about 60 days to open a waiver without having to have what we refer to as an eligibility update. If a waiver opens with case management only, there are 60 additional days to add services to the waiver plan to secure a waiver's continuation. As you can see in this timeline, the initial assessment was completed on 3/23/24 with case management only and was opened with case management only on 5/23/24. And CDCS was added on 7/1/24 to secure the ongoing waiver. The 7/1 start of this CDCS plan will have a shortened span year since the initial assessment took place in March. The first year of using CDCS, the plan will always end the last day of the month before the assessment took place. In this example, the CDCS plan will end 2/28/2025. We understand that this is confusing. This is why the CDCS specialist will help guide you with an accurate end date once they receive your plan. The purpose of this slide is to just show you how much technicality is included in when your waiver renews and the DHS policies on when a waiver must open in order to secure that waiver span. In this example, with an end date of 2/28, the min-choice reassessment will take place in January. And so you can see that this shortened span year for this CDCS plan, the CDCS plan will go from 7/1 to 2/28/25, and the allocation will be prorated based on those dates. Your initial plan will always have a prorated budget. To calculate this budget, you need the annual budget divided by 365 days in a year, and then take that daily rate and multiply by how many days the plan actually covers. For the plan example in the last slide, the calculations are as follows. The total allocation is $55,123, which divided by 365 is $151.02 daily. The number of days between 7/1/24 and 2/28/25 is 243 days. We then take 243 days and multiply it by $151.02 per day. The final shortened allocation for this person's plan year is $36,697.86. Again, we understand that this math is confusing, and your CDCS specialist or your support planner can help you in calculating this shortened span year amount. This is just a reminder that your CDCS plan cannot be billed if you are in the hospital, in another country, incarcerated, or in inpatient treatment. If your MA is not active, your waiver services are not available. It is important to renew your medical assistance timely in order to ensure that there is not a pause in your waivered services. Just a reminder that budgets change on an annual basis with each renewal. Ensure the information you discuss at your assessment is accurate for the year. If you do not agree with your budget, talk with your assessor or case manager to determine if there was an error made capturing your assessed needs. You have the right to appeal any annual budget if you do not feel it reflects the needs of the CDCS participant. Thank you for watching this video on disability budgets. If you are choosing to write your own CDCS plan, please watch the next training on how to write your CDCS CSP.